Okay, so we're back, and I'm just going to recap a little bit and explain a little bit more. So I said previously that um, I've been 6 weeks away from my own children, right? And I know that most of you know who follow my page and follow the foundation know that Ethan has, he was exposed to someone at school with COVID, and he's currently in quarantine. So even in that case, my own recommendation to my child who loves to be social and would love to be with his friends and love to be and enjoy the holiday and everything else, usually he would spend Thanksgiving with me. He's not with me this Thanksgiving specifically because of COVID and all of the ramifications of COVID. He is in quarantine, but usually if he's not with me for a holiday, any holiday, he would go up to his grandparents' house and on his father's side and spend it with that side of the family and be with them. And there are multiple generations present at usually their family events and a broader family community. Even in his case, okay, I have said he should stay home in quarantine. He should not go to the event because he may have it, right? He's still in the middle of his 15-day quarantine. He may have it and he could spread it to someone else. Or if he has it, his immune system could be down and he could pick up something else on top of COVID at the event, right? So he should really stay home. And I'm saying that to show you the importance, right? It is so, everybody knows how much I love to be with my own children. I really love to. The importance of this is so important that I'm not going there to travel to see them for Thanksgiving, right? I'm choosing to stay here in Manhattan, and I haven't gone to see them because of the possible exposure I could get on the train or any other possible location of the commute, right? That I could bring COVID to them.
Right.
Unfortunately, he was exposed at school. Whatever. I can't change that. I can't change that. But I can change whether he exposes other people to it if he has it, or if he gets even more of an illness on top of COVID, right? Or something else on top of COVID that would need to be treated by going to a family function. And yes, he was tested. And yes, his results may end up being negative. But he was taken 3 days after knowing he was exposed. So even in that case, officials in CDC have said if you're tested too early in the process and don't show symptoms, you may still be positive for COVID. So don't go to a family event. If you've been exposed within 14 days of someone who you know has COVID, don't go to a family event. Okay, that's all I can say. I wanted to make that clear because it's little things like these where people make exceptions, right? Or people deviate in certain ways where major problems can happen. He has a great grandmother at that event who's 92 to 97 years old. If she was exposed, I can guarantee she'd be in the ICU. She'd be dead. If he has it, okay, I'm sorry. Look at her. She's telling you she would be dead.
And also another thing is, while we've tried very hard in the United States to have better testing, a lot of our tests come back negative when somebody is in fact positive.
Like do the 14-day quarantine. Just do the 14-day quarantine.
To admit as a American worker, as an American lab worker, it's bad. Our tests are not perfect. The tests are never perfect. It is what it is. But if you have symptoms related to COVID, even if your test comes back negative, you need to do the 14-day quarantine. And specifically, if it's changed, I'm sorry for saying this, but the day that you last had symptoms, 10 days from then is when you're safe to be around other people again.
Yeah, so he's not. By Thanksgiving, he definitely will not be the 10 days. He'll be like 8 or 9, if that. And even in that case, he could be asymptomatic. He's a youth. You don't know.
That you can truly, even if you're not a youth, be asymptomatic for 2 to 14 days. 2 to 14 days is you can be completely asymptomatic.
Yeah.
So
So
you're telling 14 days to quarantine.
yeah, so the other important thing for me to say with this is, and this has been my own thought right now, right? So like even in the beginning when all of this broke out in New York City, I'm in Manhattan, I didn't see the boys for the first at least 6 weeks of everything. I didn't see them until after Mother's Day, when I would usually see them all the time. I didn't see them because everything was crazy here and I didn't want to open them up to that, right? I didn't want them, I didn't even want to risk it. I didn't want to risk it. It wasn't worth the risk, right? My thought was, this is one Mother's Day out of my whole life, right? My whole life that I get to spend Mother's Day with them. I will gladly give up one Mother's Day with them to know that they're alive, to know that
Right.
they're alive, and that I have however many other Mother's Days in the future, right? The
Right.
same thing with Thanksgiving. This Thanksgiving, I'm like, if I have to give up one Thanksgiving with them so that I can have God knows how many more Thanksgivings in the future, hopefully a lot, I'm sure it'll be a lot, I would rather give up the one.
Right.
I would rather give that up.
And while we're on that subject, I want to say one thing because I've had a family member recently tell me that an in-law, so somebody not related to myself, but an in-law related to them, has severe heart and kidney disease and spent 6 months quarantining. And now she's her kidney and heart disease worsened. So now she's in the hospital and she's likely going to not make it. And that's horrible. That is sad. That's terrible. But if you have somebody, like say this could be in your mind, you're thinking it's your last potential Thanksgiving. The window's out right now. But if it were, and if it were important to you to be with this particular family member that you know is in the high risk population that you wouldn't ever want to get sick, then it was your obligation to use the knowledge that the CDC and the infectious disease experts of America have been telling you to do, and to quarantine before you move forward. If you couldn't quarantine, then unfortunately, no, you can't go see. You shouldn't. I mean, you obviously can do whatever you desire, but you should not go see the person that's in a high risk situation. You just shouldn't do that. It would hasten their death if if you brought COVID to them. But the biggest thing to me is that people really were so set on just not doing certain safety protocols, but then claiming that these particular people and their families were so important to them. If they were that important, you would have quarantined for 2 weeks when they were not doing, just, and then you would have gone to see them. Everything shut down. People's jobs got sent back to home. There was a lot of opportunity to be safe in your own space for an extended period of time, and then leave your safe space and go see your family member. And I think that people are forgetting that you had the power to do that, and a lot of people didn't. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. So what you're saying is that there was a period in each state, which there really was, a period in each state where the virus was calm enough where people could visit their family and could go and see that person, but they chose not to, maybe.
No, not even, that's not even what I'm saying. I'm saying even when it was spiking, but we had opportunity as far as either government aid or employers encouraging employees to work from home.
Yeah.
Those were times when you were supposed to quarantine. Those were times when you had opportunity to quarantine. After, in my opinion, after quarantining for 14 days, not feeling ill, not having symptoms, not being around anybody other than other people quarantining in your home,
Right.
in my opinion, you would be safe then to go and see
Right.
an at-risk person in your family.
Right.
A higher risk person in your family, because we're all
Yeah.
at risk. We don't really know how it's going to affect you until it gets into your body, but we do know that obvious comorbidities, age affects the how harsh the virus hits you.
Yeah.
So, like, what I'm saying is,
So you're saying if somebody has possibly been exposed, just do the 14-day quarantine and you can see the person after that. That's
Right.
super easy. You don't even have to wait as long as I've waited. Like, I know you're not saying you don't have to say that, but that's, I mean, that's the truth. It's only 14-day quarantine. Then have your, I don't know.
And make sure everybody else is doing the same thing. I mean, I hate to talk about the Kardashians in this interview, but one of the things they did for Kim's birthday before
I
they
don't
all
even
went,
know about this, so we're good. You just talk away.
it's so stupid. I don't mean to bring them up, but it's just because a lot of people know the Kardashians. Kim wanted to celebrate her birthday on a remote island. In order to do that, she made every single person quarantine for 14 days and then get COVID tested prior to getting on the same plane and going to the island.
Okay.
Hello? If
Then
that's
do it.
then do that.
Yeah, then do that.
Safe way to move. And I don't know why so many people can't grasp that concept.
Yeah, and so with us both saying that, I will say this has been a learning experience for a lot of people. This whole COVID has been a learning experience.
For myself,
We are not trying to shame you or guilt you for past decisions. But this holiday, through this whole holiday season, okay,
right.
we're both advocating that you actually listen to what CDC has said in this way. And I'm somebody who has railed against CDC at different times, railed against the WHO. Okay, I have, because I followed everything in China, I followed everything in Europe, I followed everything in the United States. I had to give advisement on all of those things. But right now, I am telling you, please try to stay safe this holiday season, right? This is a major holiday season. We have a lot, like literally, the United States itself has a lot to accomplish within this holiday season, including getting the vaccine to you and getting it out to you and people taking it to decrease the numbers. There's so much. If you could just do your one little part, at least for me in the United States and for nurses, that would be great, right? Or even for the youth, like.
And of course, like the quarantining thing, maybe not be perfect, but how much less of infection would spread if people just did that. Every single person who planned on traveling and going to a family member's house for a holiday party.
Okay, yeah.
Those steps before going and really and diligently did those steps, not cut corners here and there when you felt like you could. Diligently did those steps, the spread would be much less. And I know that for a fact.
Now, yeah. Now here in New York, and I don't know if you know this, but maybe you do, because I know you know a lot about Cuomo. Cuomo did change part of his stuff to say that if you fly into New York, you have to do a COVID test, and you have to quarantine 3 days before you fly in, do the test, and then quarantine 3 days after.
Right.
I think if like Erica has said, if your local government has given you directives, please try to follow them.
For sure.
I would honestly tell you, if I knew of a specific state that was being totally asinine and communistic, okay, I'm going to tell you that. I would flat out tell you, because I'm anti-communist. I would tell you, I promise. Our great grandparents came from Lithuania, okay, during communist regime in Russia. When they were trying to take over Lithuania, I would gladly tell you. I will tell you. It's just the truth.
I mean, like, I know it's so crazy that we really have to like even sit there and like
say this. I know, we're gonna say this.
What else would we do this for? Why? Oh my goodness. I just really hope that people start to trust, they start to listen, and they start to understand the importance of the infection control guidelines that are continually set every single day.
Yeah. And maybe even to go back to what you said about the 14-day quarantine, if you're really going to fly and go see your family, which I only thought of when you were saying this, you're really going to fly and go see your family, make sure you guarantee yourself to stay in that location for 14 days. You visit your family for 14 days. You don't just
Right.
stay for that one meal and then hightail it out of town. You want to make a
Right.
commitment to your family, you stay there for the 14 days
Yep.
through your quarantine. Make
Yeah.
a commitment to your family and to the rest of the world and stay there before you even think about booking that flight. Make sure you want to stay there for the 14 days.
Right.
Because any person at that gathering, come back in that time frame that you're there and say, oh, by the way, I just got my test results back from COVID and they came back positive. So guess what?
You've
You're
gone
stuck there for 14 days in quarantine. Okay, you're stuck. You're gonna have to stay there for 14 days.
Right.
So
You just got to be able to do the work, people. If you want to do the good things, you got to do the work too. I feel like there's some saying that I'm not hitting spot on, but like my grandfather used to say, like, if you want to do this, you got to do that. I don't
yeah,
know what it is, but
I'm gonna try to get us back to some of our questions, our normal questions, and you probably have already answered them. But how has your life changed during COVID?
So my life changed significantly. Honestly, I've been a travel nurse for so long, but the opportunities that arose with COVID because of the overwhelmed hospital systems were so much greater. Like pretty much any state, especially right now, is welcoming you as a nurse to come and work. So if there's some place you wanted to work and get your foot in the door, that's a big opportunity. My opportunity was Florida. I was able to completely relocate from New York to Florida, where I wanted to come for the weather purposes for many years now. So that's one. Because I've been working through COVID and I've been doing the crisis COVID contracts, I'm in a much better standing financially myself, but at the same time, it's concerning because if anything happens to me, and which is a fear every single day that I step into work and go anywhere, if anything happens to me, that obviously I'm not able to work, and therefore what I've been able to save and what I've been able to do would diminish significantly. So that's one thing. But positively, I've learned to value just health in general, just being healthy, making sure I take my vitamins, making sure I exercise regularly, anything to help lessen my chances of having the bad effects of COVID, I've been trying to do, and those have all turned out to be healthy things. And then another thing is I've learned how to be alone and how to be fulfilled alone without having direct physical contact, without having a direct family member or friend present. I've been able to just learn how to be fulfilled within myself, as well as continue forming connections and maintaining my relationships in other means, as far as Zoom, FaceTime, phone conversation, emails, writing. And it's just been a big growth period for myself. I know that I feel bad saying that because I know there's a lot of people out there who have suffered significantly to where this is not a good period for them.
Yeah.
And I'm horrible for that. But
what has been most difficult for you during COVID?
the burnout from feeling burnt out of being a nurse. So I always said I never wanted to feel that way. I said I would stop nursing when I did. And this is my 10th year of nursing, and this is what's happened. So I just, overall feeling tired, feeling anxious to go to work, dreading going back after I've left, crying for hours after I've left, having to do death, having to manage somebody's end of life care without having the direct support. Like I've always been used to. My first year of nursing was on a hospice floor, which is end of life care continuously. And I've never, ever had the situation where end of life care was us. If, mainly we promoted family members to be, and of course we would step in if family members can't, but for every single death to be, it is on us. It's on us.
Well, I
It's,
don't even know if it's not on you because it's the virus, but you are the one who is there flat out witnessing it and in with the people in it on the journey.
right.
That's
And
the piece that
phone conversations. I mean, sometimes there was a point over the summer where we were so busy and so overwhelmed. So many people were dying that we didn't have enough of the hospital acquired machines, iPads and iPhones to go into the patient's room because they were being used up. That I used my personal cell phone to allow somebody to say goodbye to their family member. And
yeah.
that's one of the hardest things you can do ever, is like just to hold the phone up. And you're genuinely doing it. They don't know that you are, but we are, I promise. Holding the phone up to the person's ear so that the person can say how much they love them and how much they'll miss them and goodbye, and that they're sorry they couldn't make it out. And that was the worst. So it's hard not to feel burnt out, and especially because it keeps coming back, and we keep getting more and more backlash from the community and various media, politicians, whoever it is. It's hard. That's the hardest part, the burnout. But trying to be there at the same time, we try to be there. We're trying to show up every day. All of us are. We're all there. So that's the worst.
Is there a really touching story that you can, or like experience that you had that you can remember that you'll never forget, that moved, like to really see the humanity of people and to see the nurses there on the floor really reach out with their patients and go, like you just gave the phone example. Is there another example that you can think of that where the nurses really went above and beyond, and where humanity was like staring you in the face and you couldn't help but be human and do what you needed to do, like give them the
Yeah. This is, I don't even know if we were supposed to, but we had a patient there for so long, over 40 days in our ICU, who had caught in COVID from his daughter.
Okay.
He was in his young 30s, a younger daughter, older but not elderly patient. He had directly caught it from them, and finally, not finally, but it just got to the point where he was going to die, and he was going to die that day.
Yeah.
And the amount of guilt, we could all just hear it in her voice. It was just awful. And we allowed her to come in, and we dressed her all in our PPE, and we allowed her to come in and hold his hand while he passed away. And that was probably because that took such a facilitation from everybody, from us nurses at the bedside to our charge nurse to the nursing supervisor to the emergency room to security, to allow the person to get where they needed to be at the time to say goodbye face to face, relatively with their loved one, was pretty significant. And I mean, that's what we're all doing every single day. We're doing our best. We're doing our best to set up video chat and FaceTime, even when the person's on a ventilator and not able to respond necessarily. We're still trying our best to set that up and to give families the most real visual that they can have without actually being there present. And every day is different. Every case is different. This case was just significant. We had talked to that daughter every single day for 40 days. We knew how much she cared. We knew how much they had tried to prevent the contraction of COVID from happening to their father, and it was just unavoidable. And it was just sad. Yeah, that's just one of the times.
Yeah. So I know it's hard for you to share some of these, and so I thank you for sharing them, because this also helps to realize it's worth it to wait. It's worth it to wait. If you can wait until the vaccine gets out, or until a later time after quarantine, or until you know you're not COVID positive, right? Or something like that. It's worth the wait. It's worth the wait. Like that family in particular, they would be sitting here and telling you exactly the same thing. They would be saying the guilt alone from it is
Right.
hard enough on top of all of the other.
The loss.
Even if you know the nurses are doing everything that they can do, like in your case, the nurses and the staff of the hospital did everything that they could. If there's a way to try to avoid getting the virus, please do it. And thank you for sharing that. I know that was really hard and difficult for you to share. And so thank you. What inspires you to do what you do every day and to continue to do what you do? Especially now.
Family. My family specifically, they're really all I can focus on. I mean, we do, because we don't have a ton of positive outcomes in the ICU with COVID. It's just how it goes. If somebody's sick enough to get to the ICU with COVID, their chances of making it out are very slim, and it doesn't happen frequently. So with that being said, and then on top of that, we've got society kind of fighting us on the whole thing. But so I have a great family, and they all encourage me every single day. They encourage me to show up. They understand when I'm not there to be with them. And that's, I guess, the biggest thing. It's just my family continually encouraging me, and just knowing that this is something that's temporary and that we're all going to be together again soon. But that I also have a higher calling, and that there's care that needs to be provided that I'm able to do, and I need to go and do that.
Okay, so right now you're getting emotional. Tell me what's going on for you.
I think I just miss everybody so much. And then, to see so much suffering and not have people directly here with me it's a lot.
It's so hard, Erica. It is so hard. It is very, very hard. And what you're doing is very, very difficult work. It's not just that it's hard that your family isn't there. What you're doing on the ground is very, very, very extremely difficult work. Extremely difficult. It takes so much inner soul, literally, to do what you do, on top of to be away from your family, to do what you do to save the people you are saving during the pandemic.
Right.
So
right.
that's why I'm asking you, because I want to be able to address whatever your needs are too that are coming up for you, because I know it's really difficult and I know it's really hard. I also know
at the same time I did choose it.
you did, but this is the other piece to that. Like, yeah, so let me see. There was something I was going to say before this, but
sorry.
No, that's okay. I kind of chose my path too, but I didn't choose to be separated from my children. And I didn't choose to be separated from them for 6 weeks, right? Those weren't actual choices I made. And if they could be here, I would have them here in a heartbeat, being in the same house that I'm in and being here every single day, right? So in a way I did choose, but I didn't. You didn't choose for COVID to come here. You did not choose for so many people to die in ICU every single day in front of your face. And you did not choose for other people to make bad decisions, or even to make decisions, even if they didn't think that they were bad, like that family didn't think that they were making bad decisions,
Right.
You didn't choose those factors. You didn't choose those. You chose to be an ICU nurse, yes. You never chose for a pandemic to come to the United States, or to choose to, you know what I mean.
Right.
You signed up to work through the pandemic, but you didn't choose those things. But what I was going to say before that was that Each one of those families that you've helped journey through this time and experience, you've touched each one of those families in a beautiful way. Each one of them, you have that family, that woman, that daughter who saw her father. Yes, she saw her father die and felt guilty about that. But you were there to accompany her on the journey when she may have had to go through that alone. It's better she goes through it with someone who actually cares and knows the field and knows the experience than to go through it alone.
Right.
Like if she had gone, I can't even imagine, because there's many families here, I think in New York and other places, and I'm not faulting anybody for it, who haven't been able to do that, who have had to say goodbye on the phone, or the hospital wouldn't make accommodations, or they wouldn't do this or they wouldn't do that. And even in those cases, I know that those nurses feel horrible. They feel horrible about what they've had to see and the atrocity and the witness of it, all of it. But in each case, they've witnessed the love that is fully present in the other people for others too. Their love for the love that they bring forward out of themselves for the patients or for the family coming to them, or the love that the family has for the patient or the friends have for the patient.
Exactly.
And you're a beautiful witness for that, like to that, literally. And you're like, and I don't mean this to sound cliche at all, because it's a very difficult time for everybody. You're like that angel that's standing in the light.
We're trying to, yeah. It's hard.
It's walking.
I want people to know it's getting darker. It's hard.
but it's, you're standing there in the light and with them on that journey to tell them that there's somebody here on this planet that cares about what is happening to them and to their family, and you understand. Even if there is no answer to solve the problem. You know, and I'm saying that from your journey from February on through to now, because it's been a very, very long journey. And you've been away from your family for a very long time too. And so looking at all of it,
it's a lot to take in for everybody.
You're just, yeah, but Erica, you're very brave. You're holding it all there together, and you're still able to serve every day. You're still serving. And even if you couldn't, even if there was a moment where you couldn't and you had to take a break or had to go to that, or even decided to leave the field, you still walked with all those families.
Right.
You still walked with all those people, all those patients, when they may not have had anyone.
Right. And we're all trying to do that for everyone, just so everybody knows that too. Every single nurse in the field right now, we're all doing our best. We're trying to come to the phone. We're trying to answer your phone calls, but it's hard. And it's tough when we're trying to keep ourselves safe. Come up with the phone is tough, and I know that people are getting very frustrated from not hearing from us, but the hospital systems, we're at capacity. The nurses and doctors are all overwhelmed, and we're just doing the best we can every single day. I think I can speak on behalf of every healthcare worker out there.
Yeah. Well, thank you for allowing yourself to be vulnerable and speaking that truth, because that in itself will move mountains. I'm not kidding. Like once people actually hear the truth, things will begin to change, hopefully for the better, in a more deeper way. That's one reason why it's important for us to have this conversation, as well as many others, but for you to actually state your real truth for you too, and for the patients there also, even if it's really, really hard. So what is one, no, my question before this one was, what is one challenge you find you are facing right now? I already know that. You don't have to answer that. And how are you working to overcome it? We've kind of discussed different ways. Do you want to add anything to what you've already said about how to overcome, or anything more deeply about whatever challenges you find you're facing right now? Is there anything else you want everybody to know about the challenges of nurses, or even what you want to share personally about your challenges right now?
I guess I will just speak on nurses because me personally, I don't know.
Well,
I
personally, it's the missing your family. That I
think
know.
really tired is the lack of response from the community. The amount of disbelief in us, and well, not even just in us, in the virus, and then that trickles down to us because it's what we're doing and what we're overwhelmed with every single day. And it's one of the things that's causing us to have these voids of not having, direct support. Okay, that's wrong to say because my family directly supports me, but I don't have we don't have physical support. We don't
Right.
have the common things, and we're all really trying, but it's getting harder and harder and harder to remain as compassionate as we have been when it feels like the rest of society is continually stabbing us in the back
Okay.
by not listening.
Yeah, so I'm going to speak to that. I'm going to speak to a couple of things you just said. One is know in yourself, know that overall, the community supports you as a nurse. They care about you as a nurse and all the other nurses, and we see you as heroes. I want you to know that. And anytime you doubt that, I want you to turn back to all of the social media back when you were here in New York. And you tell your friends to do that. You turn back to that social media where everyone said that nurses are heroes. I want you to draw strength from that. And I'm telling you that because if things get harder, I want you and the other people to be able to make it through that. I want you to be able to survive. I want you to be able to get home. So I'm telling you that. And I'm not just saying that on behalf of the foundation. I'm saying that on behalf of politicians I know fully support the nurses and are doing everything that they can in their capacity to get the help that's needed, especially as things are beginning to increase. And I'm saying that on behalf of other countries because I've seen everything Europe's gone through, and they're going through a major resurgence just like us. And even Pope Francis himself has spoken out for essential workers and flat out labeled them as heroes and is offering masses for all of them, and has continued to do so throughout the pandemic. So I want you to be clear in your own heart and mind what the truth actually is versus the lies that are being fed to you right now through social media or through other literally different people in your face, okay? Or what you see in your local grocery store.
That is crazy.
Because even in your local grocery store, I'm sure in Florida, you are seeing people who are not wearing masks still, or are still,
hiding or just, yeah.
totally treating you with disrespect, which is not okay. Or your career or profession with disrespect, and that's not okay either.
Right.
So I want you to know and keep it in your heart and mind and soul. What you're doing is hero work. It really is. And I'm not just saying that, just to say that. You are literally saving lives, and if you can't save them, it's not by your choice that you can't save them. You are journeying with them to the end of life to bring them to a new space of existence. It is one of the most difficult positions and jobs to have to do that, especially during a pandemic of all times, right? Like, we haven't seen a pandemic like this since what? Like a long time, a very long time. globally, a very long time, right? You are not alone. There are millions of people praying for you, advocating for you, trying to send what you need to you. And I know that based on everything that the foundation and myself physically advocated for to people, to get PPE, to get the gowns, to get the masks, even to nurses, right, and to hospitals. You are not just a number, and you are not just a You are a human being with a soul who cares about every last person in that hospital, every person in the ICU, and every single individual journey in that process that you walked beside. And that shows just even in our conversation now. I already knew that before, right? But it shows in our conversation even now. You know, do not be discouraged because of the naysayers. Do not. Their naysaying will bring them to their demise. That is the truth. It will. It will. You know the truth inside of you. So hold it there and keep being that light that you can be, and don't lose that hope. And of course, relief is coming. Of course, the vaccine is coming out and it will decrease the numbers, right? And hopefully the hospitals won't get even more overflowed. And of course, I know myself and other people have advocated for backup centers to be opened and everything else. Numbers increase if people don't listen, or if we continue to see things spike. But know that you're doing one of the most important jobs and the most important work on the face right now. And I mean that. Other people cannot even do their job. They would not be able to do their job if you were not physically in your job right now. They would not be able to do that. Can you imagine all the family members trying to take care of all the people that come into the ICU? They would never be able to do that. Never. Never. Or even for them to recover.
Right.
Or even for them to journey with that period through the end of life. They wouldn't be able to do that. They wouldn't be able to emotionally or spiritually handle that. It's a lot. And you're dealing with multiple people.
Totally.
So I want you to just rest in that knowledge and that fact and in that truth. And anytime the lie comes to you that you don't matter, or nobody gives a crap, right? Or it doesn't make a difference, or where they try to tell you that the safety precautions in your case do not matter, or all the other things, throw it out the window and be like, sayonara, baby. I already know what the truth is, and it's not that. It's not
Right.
that.
It is, right. I just want to tell you, my phone has 10% battery left.
Okay. Okay, so there's like 3 more questions left. I'll see what we can do. And if we have to continue with a different session, that's totally fine. It's up to you. Do you want me to save the other 3 questions for another time? Do you want me to give you a little bit more encouragement now?
Do you want to do tomorrow morning with the other 3 questions? Are you available?
Yeah, tomorrow morning is totally fine. But I think the most important thing, yeah, I can do the other questions whenever you're ready. Not a problem. I think the most important thing today to leave you with is knowing that you are valued and loved and cared about. And what you're doing is amazing work that other people wouldn't even dare to sign up for. They wouldn't. They would never be able to handle it spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically, or any other capacity. And so I want you to rest in that and know that for yourself, and let that rejuvenate you and bring you to a place where you get through this next phase, if that's what you were going to do, which it sounds like you are, because you were like changing your flights and everything else. Yeah. So even if it gets worse, and it may get worse before the vaccine is out, is what I'm thinking is probably going to happen, although I've been pushing. And as the relief gets there, you are making one of the biggest differences in the world.
Thank you.
And these families are so, they're not just blessed to have you to journey with them through that. They're not just blessed, they're grateful and thankful. They are grateful and thankful that you have been the one to journey with them through that. And that all the other nurses, with all the other people that they have touched in their specific ways, individually with each one of those people, that they have been the nurses that they have been, to journey with them and to be there on the journey.
Right. Thank you for
So
everything.
don't ever forget that.
Thank you. It means so much to hear that from you. Thank you.
And I know you miss your family, because I miss my family too. And I want to like throw things because I miss them.
Imagine having children and not being with them. So, oh my God, God bless you.
No, it's once I saw that they were approving the vaccine, I was like, okay, this makes sense why I am away from them right now, and can enjoy all the other days with them in the future. If it
Right.
takes me being here in this moment to make sure a vaccine is approved, or to advocate for these other people to have what they need, for me to have a future with them, literally a future with them, then I will do it if that's what it takes.
Right.
But I also get to talk to them. So like, okay. And we'll have a play, we'll be together and we'll celebrate, this holiday at another time. It's okay. Usually I'm with them all the time, but it's okay.
You're doing amazing. Thank you so much for this interview. Thank you for the opportunity to get my voice out and my word out. I really appreciate you.
Yeah. And if you want to add anything tomorrow morning besides the 3 questions, like if you reflect or whatever and you add stuff, then add whatever you want to add. For
Okay.
sure. Or anytime in the future, you can always reach out and be like, these people need to know this. I'm sick of this, like this view or this thought about what's going on. Make sure that you reach out.
Okay.
And if you need the support, even if it's not for the interview, if you need the emotional and spiritual support, feel free to reach out. Seriously. Okay.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Thank you. This has been amazing. I'm crying.
I know you're crying. I don't know if it's good or bad. I'm leaving you crying.
It's good. Everything you said is so kind. It just like hits home. It feels good to hear. So thank you.
But it's true too. I'm a really kind person, but it's totally, it's the truth. And if the other people could be here, like if the other people on the other side, right, who have died, could be here and tell you this today, they would be here and tell you. They would. There is no way you could replace those ending moments for that father that you gave him. There's no way anybody could replace those. And you did that. He got those ending moments because of you and because of all the other nurses in that space. And he would not have gotten them. He wouldn't have. So stay in that truth and in that knowledge. And even, again, with the people in the family also. It was, you on that journey.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So have a good rest of your night. Let me know when you're available to do the other 3 questions, and when you feel ready to do them.
Okay. No, I'm sorry.
And no, it's totally fine. Let me know when you're available and ready, and know that you've got this. You've got this, girl. And you're so strong, and I'm so proud of you. So hang in there. Help is on the way.
Thank you for everything you're doing. I really
You're
mean
welcome.
it.
Thank you for you. I'm thankful for you. What you're doing, girl.
Thanks.
Stay strong.
Oh, it's that time of year, right? Thankful.
Yes.
The theme of the week.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Have a good night.
You too. Ciao.
Ciao.